Alright everybody, in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how to create those super melodic piano beats all from scratch in FL Studio. So we're firstly going to be breaking down the melody in a step-by-step pattern just so you can really nail that melodic type of sound. And then we're also going to slap on some crazy drums together just so you can also understand the drum bounds in these type of beats. So we're not going to waste any more time, let's just jump straight in. Alright, so we are now here in FL Studio 21 as you guys can see, and this sample I'm going to be breaking down in this one is actually going to be this number 16 sample from my Mirage multi-kit. So this right here is how the sample sounds. And so you can really hear it has that melodic sound. A lot of different elements to it as well. Fast-paced, super melodic. Has a nice chord progression as well. Alright, so you guys heard the sample. Now the first thing we're going to break down is going to be the piano. Alright, so the piano I was using was actually this Noir felt piano in Contact. And I'm going to show you guys some super saucy stuff with this exact piano right here. So I know the Contact bank is actually super popular. But what I did for this one is first of all, just go over to the presets over here. And I made sure to pick this emotional felt piano. And then what you actually want to do next is to go over to this third button over here. And you really want to make sure you mess around with these effects right here. So you want to make sure to turn this particles engine on. And then you also really want to mess around with this knob over here. Fade it a little bit left or right and you can really get some more melodic sound out of your piano. Trust me, it's going to make a huge difference. So I'm first just going to put this all the way to the right. So before I break down the pattern, I just really want to show you guys how much this effect right here matters. So I'm just going to play the original piano pattern and then I'm going to move this from left to right just so you can hear the difference. Can hear the difference, right? So you really want to make sure to mess around with this. Alright, so that is pretty much it for the instrument. Now here's the pattern. So some of you might have heard this chord progression before. It is actually from a very popular song, so if you know the song name, make sure to leave the song name down in the comments below, and I might just send over a free kit to one of you guys. But the piano pattern is actually very easy to recreate. We are just working in the E minor scale, and we are pretty much just making a triad chord from the E minor in a downwards motion right here. So you can see we start on the E, the next note in the scale is going to be this D, so then we make a triad chord on the D. Same with the C and the B3 right here. Then we have just inverted these top notes. So if we pitch them down by one semitone, you can see it's just a normal triad chord with an inverted middle note like this. Now the trick to really get that melodic sound out of this is actually just to chop up your existing notes. So if I just go over here and make a similar pattern. So we're just going to make that triad chord. And then we're just going to invert all of these middle notes right here up one octave like that. And then to really get that melodic sound, like I said, you just want to go over to the slice tool over here and just start cutting up some of the notes you already have inside of your pattern. So now we're just chopping at random, but you can really hear we get that melodic sound. So it is actually very simple. Like I said, you just want to slice them up a little bit, just follow the pattern you already have and just slice the same exact notes you already have inside of your chord pattern. Now for the effects on the piano, we're just going to keep them very simple. We have a roam at about 19% just for a little bit of reverb, and imager right here at about 43 just to widen out the piano sound, and then lastly just the EQ to cut out the low end and the boxy mids right here. So the effects are super simple. We just want to get a clean sound out of our piano. The next thing I added was just this guitar I found in Splice. So it is an electric guitar with a piano in the background, and it really just complements and adds to that melodic sound we were going for. Next I found this vocal as well.
Looking up at the skyline, all the places in time.
Now to really make that vocal blend together nicely with the melodic sound. Now you don't want to overdo it with the vocal, you just want to make sure it blends in nicely with the melodic sound. So I'm going to show you guys the exact way to do this. Firstly, you obviously want to open up the vocal, pitch it to the right key, and also time stretch it so it fits nicely. Then once you have this, you want to add some reverb. So we have this room at about 20%. Again, not too much, we just want that ambience out of our vocal, but I'm going to add something later on that's going to give it a lot of space. But after that roam, we just want to add a high cut EQ. Since we pitched up the sample a lot, it has a higher tone to it. So we're just cutting a lot of those high frequencies using this EQ. Then I'm also using a free plugin called Pancake 2 to pan the vocal from left to right. This is really going to help it spread out in the mix. But here is the last effect, and this is some serious sauce. So you want to open up RC20 and you want to just open up the presets and make sure to pick this magnitude transition 1 preset. This preset alone is literally going to make your vocals fit so nicely together with the rest of your melody. Just take a listen to how the vocals sounded before we added effects.
Looking up at the skyline.
And this is how it sounds after we add the effects on. That's crazy. The last two things I added to the sample was that I firstly went over to the textures kit in the same Mirage multi-kit, and I just added this watery texture right here. Drag that in, and I also added this sub bass I have in the 808 section called the stash sub bass right here. This is very simple, it's just following the root notes from the piano. Then I just rendered out all the patterns and we have the full sample. So now that we have broken down the whole sample, let's quickly add some drums. As for the drum sounds I'm using, they are of course coming from my Mirage multi-kit. So if you guys like the sample, the textures, or any of the drum sounds you hear in this video, you can obviously check out the kit. It is on my website, which is BBMarko.com, or you guys can just click the first link down below. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is add an open hat on the first hit. Now when it comes to these melodic beats, we also want to keep the drums a little bit more simple since our melody is so busy and has a lot of different elements to it. So in this case, since it's a more melodic beat, I actually like starting off with a longer lasting open hat. So I think we can pick this lasting one right here. We're simply just going to go ahead and put this on the first hit right there, and then we want to go over to the claps. Now for the claps, just pick a nice and clean sounding clap. We're not going to do anything too complex with this one. We're just going to keep it at a standard pattern. Yeah, so this is pretty much perfect. Just keeping it very simple to get the bounce going. Next, we're going to put in the hi-hats. For these ones, again, we want to keep it very simple since the melody has so many melodic elements, especially the piano. We don't want to have too much going on with the hi-hats as well. So what we are actually going to do for the hi-hats is just right-click them and fill each two-step right here. Then we're just going to open it up, link everything together, and just add a few rolls here and there. So we can add one small roll right here. I'm also actually going to mess a little bit around with the velocity, so just turning some of them a little bit down. So we can just keep the pattern like this. Very simple, just a few notes going up and down, as well as we have a couple of rolls. Now we have three very important elements to the drums, but they are also super simple. Now we want to get a little bit more creative and add some more bounce. So let's firstly start off with some rims. So for the rims, I want to have one that comes right after the first clap. So let's actually try to layer one underneath the clap and have one hit right after. Yeah, so I just turned down the velocity a little bit on that one. And just so you can hear it's a little bit more subtle. Still add some bounce though. Let's go with some snares. Now I think it's time we add a kick in the 808. As for the 808, when it comes to these melodic beats, you usually want to have one that is a little bit shorter lasting, but you want to make sure it hits super hard. This one is probably perfect. It's super short, but it's punchy as well. So let's just drag this one in. So we're just following the root notes, having a pretty simple bounce. Just copy that over to the kick and line up everything. Yeah, now it's super punchy with the kicks as well. Now I'm quickly just gonna arrange the whole beat, then I'll show you guys the final thing. Alright, so here we have the full beat. So we're starting off with actually a 16-bar intro for this one. Having only the piano.
Shut up, Marko.
Then we bring back the sub bass. Pre-hook right here. The vocals. Teasing the drums as well. And a drops. First part of the hook right here. Second part comes in. Here we have the vocals back. Second part of the drums right here is crazy. A little bit of a verse section. It slows everything down. Oof, that's crazy. Pretty much the busy part of the verse. Then we go into a bridge. No drums, just a melody. Drowning it out a little bit using a love filter right before it drops back in.